Hi everybody, this is Brian David Marshall at Pro Tour Dark Ascension. I am here with Gaudenis Vidugiris, and we are talking about Standard. We are at the end of the first leg of day one, which is Standard. 5 rounds are in the books. 4-1 record for Go here. You seem a little salty about the one.
I'm not really salty, just let it slip away, you know? It wasn't so much let it slip away, but...
So,
yeah,
it's kind of interesting. It's Pro Tour Dark Ascension. Your deck is not very Dark Ascension heavy, but seems to be like predicated on knowing what was coming into this and coming into this event, knowing that people were going to be playing a lot of these creature decks, humans, Delver, token decks.
Yeah, and the mono green deck, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. It doesn't actually, it gains a Strangleroot Geist, which I honestly wasn't even sure whether it was worth adding or not, but I did it like last night, or well, I guess a couple nights ago. But
so Go's playing a Birthing Pod deck. This is one of my favorite cards in Standard. I keep hoping someone's gonna really bust out with it. Talk about what your deck is trying to do. We're sort of like casting costed across here. Talk about how a game of Magic is scripted in a Birthing Pod deck.
Ideally, you just play a turn 1 Accelerator, play a turn 2 Birthing Pod, and then they're basically just dead.
So even though you have like these things, the elf or the bird or the pilgrim lets you jump to 3 mana with it paying 2 life for the Phyrexian mana, and then you have Birthing Pod. And this is like having Survival of the Fittest or Recurring Nightmare. If you've ever played with one of those really like truly broken enchantments, that's what this card feels like.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. One of my opponents ramped into turn 4 Black Titan, passed the turn, and then scooped before he even untapped. It was just like I had 2 Birthing Pods in play and just went like...
So, all right, so here we go. So we've played this. We have a Birthing Pod on turn 2. What are we doing from here?
Well, what ended up happening in that game was I had like 2 lands in play, played a Phantasmal Image. Well, my turn 2 play was actually this, and then my turn 3 play was Birthing Pod. But anyway, I had a land, played a Phantasmal Image, made that into an Acidic Slime of his.
Okay, so you copied his Acidic Slime.
Yeah, copied his Acidic Slime, sacked the copy to Birthing Pod to get a Sun Titan.
So what happens is when Phantasmal Image copies a card, it acquires its converted mana cost also.
Yep.
So now you're jumping, this becomes a 5 casting cost creature.
2-drop, yep.
Yep, for 2, that you then get to jump all the way up here to where your 6 drops are.
Yep.
So you get to copy the Sun Titan. And then when Sun Titan comes into play, you get to put a creature or a permanent with a converted mana cost of 3 or less into play, which is conveniently
Phantasmal Image.
Going to be Phantasmal Image. And so now you can copy his Acidic Slime again. You can copy your Sun Titan if you have a land in your graveyard or a creature or anything that's...
Or more Phantasmal Images.
Or more Phantasmal Images, yeah. So, and then and why did he just concede it in the face of 2 Sun Titans?
It was 2 Sun Titans. It was because I had 2 Birthing Pods. So the first one got a Sun Titan, getting back Phantasmal Image and Stone Raining him. Then I could upgrade the second one into a Sun Titan, which could get back an image to make a Sun Titan, to get back an image to either Stone Rain him again or copy his Titan, where he's just drawing dead at that point. So that
sounds disgusting.
Yeah, it was. That's when Birthing Pod is active. Things go real bad real quick for them.
All right, so let's talk through the casting costs of this deck really quick. So 1 drops, we see 10 mana sources.
Yeah.
Right? Pilgrims, elves, birds, and that's all about jumping your curve, right?
Yeah, and honestly, I think a lot of other people that I've seen play the list don't play anywhere close to as many. Like I've seen 6, or like 6 is really the most I've seen, and I just kept adding mana sources, just kept adding elves. Basically inspired by Zvi to just keep adding mana.
Sure, 32, 34 mana sources. So Phantasmal Image and Viridian Emissary and Strangleroot Geist are 1 Dark Ascension card in the main deck. Are your 2 drops. How has Strangleroot Geist been for you?
He's been fine. He's a role player. He fills in nicely and just doesn't die easily and just gets in the way, and that's really what I want to do in the early turns until I get to either Birthing Pod or the late game. So
and no temptation to like look at Vorapede, which seems like a great.
Do anything.
No, get you to 6 and you get to get 6s.
Yeah, but he would have to beat out one of these 3 cards.
So these are the 5 drops.
And I think Acidic Slime is the MVP. Very close to having 2 of him. this guy I think is just necessary to not die to random spirit tokens, and I mean he's been actually very good for me.
Right.
So the only card I could maybe see cutting is maybe the Archon of Justice, but he's like the only thing that can actually like answer permanent, and sometimes you need to like answer something, and he's your guy.
Okay, so let's go 3 drops. Just keep Blade Splicer. This guy's great.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's really good just as a card. He doesn't really go all that well with like my game plan, other than it makes it very impossible for them to attack. Like, especially against blue-white humans, like you just play that guy, and they're like, I mean, every guy they have is just smaller.
So yeah, he comes into play, gets a token. The token stays behind when you upgrade to your 4s. Other 3 drops, you have the Viridian Corrupter, Silver Bullet.
Yeah,
that you
he's
can.
pretty awesome.
We say silver bullets. We just talk about like something that you can tutor for or tinker for, and have this ability to specifically deal with the problems. This guy deals with artifacts. Fiend Hunter, same thing. Gets a Titan out of the way, or.
Yep, whatever. Actually, the main thing he gets out of the way is Relic-Warders that are trying to eat my birthing pods. So that's actually his main job, is to.
So 4 birthing pods in the 4 spot, but this is really a 3 casting cost card.
Yeah.
You ignore that little Phyrexian mana symbol up there. You just pay 2 life pretty happily.
Yeah. I mean, the only time I think you just don't just run it out there is if you're expecting them to blow it up right away. Then sometimes you like wait till you can like play it and then activate it or something. But getting this thing under mana leak is so huge, which is part of the reason why you have like 10 accelerators. Is just, I mean, if you get this thing to play.
So 4 slots. We have Solemn Simulacrum. Seems pretty obvious in the deck. Phyrexian Metamorph does all sorts of tricky things, but the card that I watched you just give a class on birthing pod to someone with last round was Stoneforge Dignitary. Talk about like what you were doing in that situation where your opponent just finally just gave up.
I mean, they can't attack. It's really that simple. And between birthing pods and images and Side Titans getting back images, and basically you can just keep copying that guy over and over again until you get to a point where they're just hopeless. So
you can just create a loop where you're copying this.
Yeah, you can copy this and then sack this to get something, and then later play a Sun Titan to get back this to copy this, and just keep going.
And then you get to attack with your Sun Titan to get this back. And
exactly. It's not technically a loop because in theory you do sort of eventually run out of Phantasmal Images or Sun Titans, but at that point you have a board full of Sun Titans, so they're probably in trouble anyway.
Right. So we looked at your 5 drops over here, the Archon, the Acidic Slime, and the Geist-Honored Monk. But let's talk about your 6 drops: 2 Sun Titans, a Wurmcoil Engine, and a Sunblast Angel.
Sun Titan is the reason for the deck. I mean, he's honestly like Sun Titan, Phantasmal Image, Birthing Pod. That's what this deck is all about, really. And then the other 2 are just nice utility spells. Sunblast Angel is, usually catches them by surprise and has definitely won me lots of matches where it's just like, hey, surprise, all your guys are dead.
And then you're able to sack any of those to go get an Elesh Norn, and just we've seen this a couple other decks say it just wipes out so many strategies that are prevalent in the room today.
Yeah, I mean that's actually the main the main reason to try to play this kind of a deck is that, I mean, you get to there and it's basically game over. Like, very few people have removal, and even if they do have removal, you already wrathed them. So. And
then. I mean, it's kind of a thing of beauty when it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's very good when it works.
But here's my question, and this seems to be the problem why a lot of people haven't played a Birthing Pod deck in Standard. If you don't draw a Birthing Pod, right, what do you do?
I mean, you're ramping to Titans. You are as good as Wolf Run, for example. I mean, your end game is just get a Titan or get an Elesh Norn and just beat them with it. I mean,
and that's where again these 10 mana sources here, the Solemn Simulacrums, the Metamorphing your Simulacrum or whatever, all comes into play.
Right. Or, I mean, Phantasmal Images copies either your Titans or their Titans or whatever. So, I mean, you're...
Right, you can copy a Primeval Titan and get ramping
like
away.
Against a lot of the, against a lot of the creature decks, we're both playing creatures. Mine are just bigger and better. And if I ever get to Elesh Norn, they're just dead. So...
Sounds pretty simple. Take a look. We do have another card in the sideboard that's from Dark Ascension. Ray of Revelation. Just seems like a very necessary card this weekend.
I mean, it's very good at what it does, and we were actually had a couple more earlier, but I don't know, not that many people were. Like, we thought actually that black-white tokens would be a lot more popular because honestly we had a list we liked quite a bit, and we thought that might be like the next greatest thing, but It doesn't seem like there's that much of that going on, so we cut it down to 1.
Right. Now here's a card that seems a little surprising to me. Hollowhenge Scavenger.
Sometimes you just gotta take your mono red opponent and just kick them in the teeth. I mean, that guy is such a monster against anyone who's trying to just crush you early. So I mean.
And again, you're able to do Phantasmal Image tricks and.
Oh yeah. I mean, or just potting him up. I mean, usually it just takes 1. I mean, like most red decks, if you just gain 5 life against them, they're pretty much going to be out of range.
And then Karn's an interesting.
Yeah, again, trying to win when you don't have Birthing Pod. Like, sometimes you just want to be able to ramp up to something big and powerful. And so, you know, in some matchups where they're not attacking me with creatures, when they're attacking me with creatures, I just sit back behind my blockers and wait for either Birthing Pod to show up or some big guy to show up. In other matchups, I actually try to force the issue, and then, you know, in those matchups, I bring in more Titans, more Karns, and just, you know, tap out bombs and hope I win.
Awesome. So you're heading into Dark Ascension Innistrad draft. How prepared are you? Now, you normally prepare with John and Sam and those guys who are all set up in a beach house here in Hawaii, so you must have had access to a really incredible network of people to work with for this event.
I mean, I did not work with them at all, actually. They all went to the beach house, and they were, they were intent on testing in the beach house, and so I just worked by myself, basically. Well, I mean, Steve Staden actually helped me a lot, and we worked a lot together, and we actually drafted at Finkel's despite the fact that Finkel was in Hawaii, but we actually did a lot of drafts at Finkel.
Guys just kicked in the door and...
Basically, yeah. Kicked in the door, ordered some boxes, and just camped out all weekend, actually. And then
he's just got magic boxes on Seamless Web.
I mean...
But now you have a job. It was difficult for you to get away.
Yeah.
You've still done very well on the Pro Tour despite having a job. How do you do that?
I honestly don't know. I mean, it's actually really hard. Like trying to, test. Like I basically tested every night between the release and now, and just work, test, sleep, work, test, sleep, and that's been my last 2 weeks. Ask Osha. She's not very happy about it, but
Well, if you continue on, following up a 4-1 record with a similar record throughout the rest of the way, I'm sure she'll be very pleased with the results.
Fair. No, I mean, she gets to come to Hawaii, so she's not really complaining.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. There you have it. So for Gaudenis Vidugiris, this is Brian David Marshall signing off from the Tournament Center.